Over the past 2 months, I've loved riding my new hardtail. Straight off the shelf, this bike is ready to hit the trails. Today on the channel, we're getting on the tools because it's time to make a few upgrades. It's always fun to change a few parts and optimise your bike for your style of riding and the current weather conditions. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to be fitting a dropper post, a new seat, pedals, stem cap, winter tyres, grips and a front mudguard. So we'll take a quick look at how to fit each one. But before we fit anything on the new bike, we need to strip it down. So let's get to it. With the bike fully stripped down to the bare necessities, we need some new parts. So it's time to go shopping. First, I went to the Adventure Trail shop in Kinver to see my buddy Gaz.
Hello mate, alright?
I also took to the internet to get some bits online.
Oh yeah, more deliveries.
So I've just picked up some more new parts. Let's go back home and get them fitted. Now I've got the bike completely stripped down and it's time to add on all the new parts. The easiest way to do this is with a little bit of magic. Let's go. Oh. That always seems to work on the Sam Pilgrim channel. I guess I'll have to do it the old-fashioned way. To fit all of this and more, let's start with 3 of the easiest upgrades first. Number 1 on my list are these new tag composite pedals. These things are dreamy. Fitting pedals is really easy, you pretty much just screw them on tightly. First thing to consider, make sure you get them on the correct side, by looking for the small L or R that's usually hidden somewhere on the pedal. I also tend to put a bit of grease on them too, otherwise you may never get the pedals off again. Once greased and on the correct side, you can either use a pedal spanner or in this case an Allen key to tighten them up. As you can see, I'm using an old Allen key that I got free about 8 years ago. So you don't need swanky expensive tools to upgrade your bike, but they would be nice. Once your pedals are on, make sure they're done up tight enough. And there you have it, first upgrade done. The second upgrade is this sweet Mudhugger front mudguard. As you can see, it's got these slits in it to help fit it to different bikes. Mine came with some handy cable ties too. My advice is to fit the cable tie to the mudguard first before you put it on your bike. Also, make sure you've got the lumpy part of the cable ties on the outside because you don't want these sticking into your tyre. Then you have to get the guard in a position that you're happy with. This may take a bit of jiggling because you've got to avoid things like brake cables. Once in position, tighten all the cable ties. I usually start with the top ones to hold it in the right position, then move on to the ones on the forks. Then you can chop off all the loose ends. A word of warning, be careful when leaving loose ends because these things can be pretty sharp and will definitely give you a savage cut, so chop them right down and try not to leave any spikes. The next easy upgrade takes no time at all, fitting my brand new DMR Deathgrips. I love these things. These grips have a locking collar to keep them in place, but not all grips do. To fit these, I just shoved them on and gave them a good whack. Once you're sure they're in the right place, you can tighten them up. I also give them a bit of a twist to make sure they don't move. Now, some people will swear by putting their grips on using water or hairspray or something, but I don't use any of those. As long as you remove any mud or grime from your bars first, you're good to go. So with these 3 easy upgrades on, it's time to fit the dropper post. I'm using my old Brank X Ascent dropper and I've got myself a new set of cables. Before getting a dropper post, you need to know your seat post diameter. To check this, look at the bottom of your current seat post, it should be written on there. My Bizango Pro has a hole in the frame for an internal dropper, which you get to by removing this little bung thing. Every dropper is slightly different to assemble and they can all be pretty fiddly. Mine involves putting this little doodad on the end of the cable so it sits right at the end. You then slide the cable into the housing. In some cases you may need to put the housing into the bike first and then thread the cable in. Once your cable's fitted, you need to feed it into the bike until it comes out the top of the seat tube, like so. You can now attach the dropper post. This can be fiddly, but it should be easy enough to manage. Make sure you click the cable housing in and get ready to fit the dropper into the frame. Again, you can put a bit of grease on the seat post to make sure it doesn't get stuck in the frame, but my advice is don't overdo it. Then get it to the right height and make sure it's facing the right way, i.e. forward. The next part was tricky to film because I didn't have a cameraman and I needed two hands to fit the fiddly bits, but they essentially involved threading the cable into the lever and clamping it down. Now, I definitely recommend taking a look at your instruction manual before you do this part, as it can easily go wrong. At this point, you can cut the remaining wire off and be done, but I tend to leave it long for a ride or two just in case I need to adjust the height of the dropper. But we're not done yet. Now I've got to sort out all of these cables. On my bike there are handy frame clips to tidy up all the cables. After all, you want your pride and joy to be looking its best. All you need to do is get another cable tie and work your magic. Repeat this all the way up the frame. Once they're all in place, just cut off the excess. That's it, the dropper post is fitted. But I'm going to add that extra bit of snazz. To go with my new dropper, I have a Madison Flux saddle. Fitting a new seat is easy enough, but it can take some tinkering. Once it's on, you need to get the right angle. It's hard to know if you have it right without sitting on it, so this may take some trail side adjustment. But once you're happy, there are just 2 bolts that you need to tighten up. Most seats will have markers on to help you adjust it into the right place and know where you're going to be comfortable. With that seat in place, all my upgrades look pretty sweet, but I have one major one to go, changing to some winter tyres. I'm swapping my Summer Max's tyres to a set of Schwalbe's, the Hands Damp and Magic Mary combo. My original plan for today was to convert the bike to tubeless, but my fingers were getting way too cold to do that today, so I'm sticking with tubes.
It's absolutely arctic out here today. Cheers.
So I think my bike is looking pretty darn awesome. But I have one last detail to add, just to help it stand out on the trail. I'm swapping my stem cap for this snazzy donut design. Stem caps are an easily changeable feature and you can get loads of different designs that can complement your bike. So with that final touch, my bike is done and I'm stoked with this set of upgrades. At this point, it's important to say that all the parts I've taken off are going to be used on other projects. There's nothing wrong with any of them. The parts I changed out today are just to help optimise the bike to my fit and the weather conditions. So with all my upgrades complete, I'm off to try it out. Here's a preview of what to expect in next week's video. I'll see you then.